All right, buddy. Peace. Welcome to the Start of Bother You show, wherever have you're listening. So grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm Kashawn Cottle, and I'm joined here by the amazing, the wonderful, the stupendous Mr. Fantastic himself, Dre Pennington.
How's everybody doing? It's been a rough one, but it's good. Uh, that's-
Why is it rough, Dre? Right? Why is it why has it been rough, man?
guys, we'll talk about that today on our show. We are going to go over, a little bit of the thing we like to call the NBA and free agency and all the moves. Uh, Kashawn knows what he's doing. It's been a rough one for me,
I,
but it'll get better. I feel like, in my spirits, it'll happen. Uh,
Dre, we love you, man. We love you, dude. We love you, man. For those listen, Dre is so off the air. We have some technical difficulties from time to time. Me more often than anyone else, but this was like the first time that Dre had technical difficulties, and it
going
was just
through it, guys. Been going through it. It's been a rough week. Last couple weeks.
it's okay. It was refreshing to for me to be the emotional support for you because it's normally the way
Shout
around.
out to you, big Al. Appreciate that.
I love you, man. But okay, so Dre, check in with you, man, real quick. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, what's going on? What's going on?
Emotionally, I am I want to say 8 out of 10. Physically, I am a 7 out of 10, getting better each week, getting back in that program of lifting, incorporating more running now. So trying to, I feel like that like tests your patience. That you want to be overs, but you're like, God, I gotta be steady. And then spiritually, I'm always gonna be a 10 out of 10. Thank God every day waking up. Like it's just always a beautiful day.
Yes. Oh, every day. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yes, because the blessing, we do take for granted waking, just have like the actual ability to wake up every day. I think we do take that for granted, man. But like you say, like running puts that in perspective. And for me, going on walks helps to reground myself and recenter myself and put things in proper perspective. So having that perspective is necessary in life. Especially at this age in our life, and we feel like we got to have everything done by a certain time frame, and we feel like we have to accomplish certain milestones like in a certain amount of time, and sometimes we put extra pressure on ourselves. But understanding we need to be right where our feet are is necessary, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said,
but
what about you, mentally, physically, spiritually?
uh emotionally I'm great because
Oh,
we get to talk about your boys over in the bay. Mentally I'm great. Like I said, I went on a walk the other day and really helped to ground myself and recenter myself. Physically a little sore just from the off-season training, but doing a great lifting.
that weight
Dre,
pressure.
Dre, you know how much I hate lifting, man. It's listen, listen, I know I work hard, but it's such a drag to go into that weight room, man. Like I would literally rather run 6 miles a day than get into the weight room. It's
Better man than me.
that's why you're 6'4", 215, rock solid.
We're not gonna tell lies on here, guys.
But no, physically I'm good, man. Physically I'm doing good. Just enjoying the moment, man. Like really trying to be intentional about taking everything in, like the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all just experience at the end of the day. But I did okay, so I didn't talk to you about this off air, but I did find out something that was pretty interesting. So this this musician, I forgot his name. He's a guitar player though. He created a form of the periodic table that plays each element plays a different frequency. So first of all, I didn't know elements gave off sound and frequencies, but they do. And right, so he um he matched the frequency that each element gave off, and so like he put that into a program. So if you click on an element, say you click on oxygen, it'll play the frequency that it gives off. And each frequency that is found on the periodic table is also found within the each note on the piano. And so I thought, yeah,
That
so
is
I thought that was pretty interesting.
amazing.
Yeah. Now, like, but like, there's only is it 5 or 6 notes on the piano, or like A B C D E. I think if I'm wrong about that, you guys can correct this. But obviously, you can't play the full note. It might have to be like a quarter note or even like a fourth note. But at some point, you can find each frequency on the periodic table within those notes on the piano. And so I thought that was phenomenal. Like that right there just tells me that I was I was I can't tell you where I was watching it because we can't give out free promo, but but it was stuff like that just confirms to me that there's got to be God is the only way that all that's even possible. Like the way that just connects and aligns, man. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. So I just wanted to share that with you real quick, man.
That's a beautiful thing. Like that's amazing. It sounds like something I gotta go ahead and look into a little bit. Not gonna lie to you. Need you to share your sources when we're done with this.
Yes, yes, yeah, off the air, off the air.
Off the
No offense to the source I got it from, but when you're privately owned, we got can't, can't give out all the resources,
definitely.
man. Yeah. But Dre, listen, let's get into the topic of our show for today, man.
Which
NBA free
part first?
agency. Oh, where do you want to start? Okay. Uh I won't listen, I know you're still recovering from your wounds that that you took. So we won't start with the departure of your boy Clay. We won't start there. We'll start with another departure, PG, going to the Sixers.
All right. There were a lot of things around that that I don't think people really thought through on. First off was the fact that the team, I think the fact that the team came up short this year, especially with how they went all in with getting Harden and trading for some guys here and there. I don't think they expected them to lose in the first round. Granted, it was to the eventual like Western Conference Finals champion, but still they were thinking that this would been this if it was in a year, it'd be their year this year.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of played a role into it. And then on the part like the fact that PG was looking for a 4-year deal, and I
Mhm.
don't think the Clippers were actually playing ball. They were playing hardball and giving him that. And I
Mhm.
think they wanted him to take a small like take a discount. And he was just kind of on the fence of like, all right, you gave Kawhi his money. Um, Essentially, I think they gave Harden his money, and they were just like, well, PG was kind of like, well, what about me? Like, where am I in this?
Right.
And it just came out to the point where it was like, all right, well, it just sounds like it's time. I thought with all that PG had going around him in LA and like the different things like that, growing up in LA, like being on the West Coast again, I
Mhm.
never thought I'd see him leave the Clippers. I thought he'd finish there.
So do you think it was a financial decision for him? Because Philly gave him a 4-year, $212 million deal, and you said that the Clippers weren't willing to do that.
I don't think they were willing, and then they weren't also willing because I know that the I know Golden State was also in on trying to get Paul George and trade for him, but the Clippers weren't willing to make that sign and trade, especially for somebody who's in their conference and who's also in their same predicament of being like middle of the pack or like middle of the pack trying to reach for the championship. So
Yeah.
I don't think they were going to trade him, and they wanted him to pretty much go if it was going to be anywhere, go east.
Go East. So if if you're the Clippers now, Trey, and we're just thinking about Paul George leaving, how do you look? How do you reflect on the past 5 years? Do you see it as a success or do you see it as a failure?
I think honestly, I think that's what they got to look at to them because the farthest they made it, I think, in their franchise was with Paul George being their focal point when Kawhi got hurt, and that was to the Western Conference Finals
Yeah.
when they eventually lost. I want to say 4-2 to was it the Suns?
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, they eventually lost 4-2 to the Suns, and it was purely because they just didn't have enough in the tank anymore. They were tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that Kawhi would have helped them move past, but at the same time, you don't know because then it's going to be like, well, maybe they don't get past Utah that year when Kawhi was hurt.
Right.
So I think other than just that year, they've been a heavy favorite since they got to both of them with a blown 3-1 lead.
Hmm.
Um, the fact that they kept getting hurt every year, the both of them, and then they've had elite role players in their, for their tenures. And then on top of that, the fact that that original Clippers squad that they had, that was purely, I think it was just built to beat the Lakers. And when they ran against the Nuggets, they couldn't do anything.
Ah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that makes it a little bit even more of an underwhelming, like kind of it felt underwhelming as well.
And you're talking about that 2019, that first year, 2019,
Yeah,
2020.
yeah, yeah. I
Hmm.
just don't think they had enough, and I don't think they not enough. I don't think the team was built very well to beat everyone because then you've seen, like I said, the 3-1 lead they gave up. Um, they got they got outplayed, outclassed, outcoached the whole time.
Yeah. So then, so you've covered 2 years basically. 2019, 2020, they blew through and lead to Denver. 2021, they lost in the conference finals. So 2022, um, well, how did they fare in the playoffs for the 2022 season?
I want to say 2022.
That's the year they lost in the play-in, correct? To Minnesota.
Yeah, because I
Hmm.
think that everyone
Kawhi
was
missed
hurt.
the whole year yet.
Yeah, everyone was hurt.
Hmm.
And then 23 was the year that both PG and Kawhi were both hurt
Again in
again.
in the first round, actually, correct?
Yeah, and they lost the first round to the Suns.
Yeah. And this
And then
past season.
the past season, obviously Kawhi was hurt. Nothing like, and it's not like I think it injuries are part of the game. Like everyone kind of goes through them. If
Hmm.
people are mad at him for getting injured, that's it's realistically that's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible for him to like know that all the way. But like I just think that's I think that a culmination of things. I think they were also just going to go. I think they're going to try and get a little younger
Hmm.
with their core players, and I think they're going to have some guys kind of step up in their roles. Obviously, you've seen that um, they offered Harden his money and gave him a deal. They also, I want to say that Westbrook opted in, so
Yeah.
he'll get his 4 million, but I think he's on the trading block as well because I've seen that Denver's making a hard push for him.
The Denver Nuggets are.
Yeah, they're making a hard push for Westbrook.
Wow. Okay. So okay, so we'll transition to
Yeah,
Harden
yeah, yeah, yeah.
rather, but I do because that's a great segue. But Drew, I do want to ask you this real quick. And not trying to split or be polarizing when I ask this. Do you, for the Clippers and Dave Ballmer, do you think it was a matter of choosing between Kawhi and Paul George this free agency, or was it just a matter of the relationship specifically for Paul George and the Clippers has just ran its course?
I think it was one of those things where I think it just ran its course. It
Okay.
there and people say like I truly believe that West Coast guys guys specifically that are born in LA or in that Bay Area or like any part of like that camp that I almost said any part of that California like living, I truly think believe that they want to stay in California
Hmm.
uh, or even like around or close to it. I think that that relationship ran its course, and I think the combination of losing, like coming up short, and then on top of that, not financially, just like making him like a priority. I think it just was like at its point.
Okay. So you don't believe it was it wasn't a matter of pitting PG and Kawhi against each other and who's better between the two is really just financial purpose and sometimes things just run its course.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was
Okay.
just
So do you think Paul George overall, if blanket statement, do you feel like Paul George made the right decision? From a
yeah.
basketball standpoint, from a basketball standpoint.
Basketball standpoint, to the Sixers, maybe he gets onto the Joel train. Joel's 29 or so. He's in his prime.
Mhm.
Um, he also jumps on. He's the second option immediately, and their team is already built. So like they have the role players that they wanted. They've also had great free agency pickups. So I
Add
think
Eric Gordon,
overall,
right?
yeah, Eric Gordon. They also added Andre Drummond for a vet minimum deal. Honestly,
Wow, okay. And he had some pretty good splits this past season, correct?
yeah.
Before he
So
got hurt, before he got hurt.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I think that overall, I think that they make a really good good run. I just think that also I'm forgetting Tyrese Maxey also is on that team, and they got like they have a great mixture of youth,
Mhm.
playoff experience, and then um a lot of like elite players. The only thing I'm worried about for them is how healthy can every single person on that roster be, especially Joel. I just think that his health is always like is in that diamond. Like it should always be considered.
You know, Dre, and I do want to just throw this part in there. And we talked about this on the YouTube live show. It helps Philadelphia a little bit that Paul George is there now because you don't have to worry as much about Joel Embiid playing in every single game. That was something that Philly struggled with this past season. That when Joel missed a lot of games, they fell in the standings. But now that now that PG is there, if Joel happens to miss a couple of games, you don't have to worry about losing those games if you're Philly because now you have another All Star player in Paul George, so you can still stay. Um, you can still have a good record and you can still be competitive even without Joel
Yeah.
Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how much that I'll be honest, I think they made a big push. Um, but I still don't know if they're that actual favorite to take down Boston this year. We'll see.
Real quick, yes or no? Are they better than New York right now, presently constructed? Philly.
It's a toss up, honestly. 7 game
Yeah,
series. It's a toss up.
yeah, yeah. I would say no. I would say no. I would say they're not better than New York right now
Yeah.
because you're worried about the health of
Yeah.
New
Yeah.
York.
And then in their postseason shortcomings as well. It's been a
Yeah,
thing for them as well.
yeah, yeah.
And
But
speaking of New York, I'm just gonna say, I'm honest, I think this was one of the best pickups in free agency by far for OKC. I
okay,
think I think Hardenstein to OKC is one of the best pickups that they could have possibly gotten.
Dre, why do you think no one's talking about that move?
Well, it's because they're it's the same thing of like they're young, they're they made it the second round, but like no one expected them to be that good that fast.
Hmm.
But I think that it's one of those things where the team all of a sudden they got bigger, they got a little more athletic, and then on top of that, they filled a hole in a need for what
Mm.
for what they've been looking for.
How is adding Hartenstein going to affect Shea Gilgeous's play, if at all?
I don't think it affects it at all. I
Okay.
think I think it still spaces the floor, but he now has another person that actually because one of the biggest knocks on them was that they just don't have enough like inside presence to
Mhm.
actually have a difference. And now with Hardenstein, they feel the need of rebounding. They feel the need of like the dirty work guy. I
Yeah.
just don't think they had that guy that was there on that team, which is one of the pieces I feel like they were missing.
Yeah.
But also like the mere fact that they have Hardenstein, they now have a guy who's a roller and
Yeah.
who's a finisher at the rim, but also knows how to pass out of the pick and roll
Yeah.
as
Have you
well.
did you notice, Dre, that over the court towards especially in the playoffs, teams they were comfortable doubling off that pick and roll or that handoff action, especially when Shea Gilgeous was ended because they weren't worried about that roll man. Are you saying
Yeah.
that?
I think that's one of those things where it's like a big. It wasn't noticeable until probably someone said it, but when you're watching, it's like okay, well, if they're not hitting the roller as much, like you need those easy twos inside every once in a while, to just open up everything. And like for Shea, especially once they got to the second round,
Mhm.
they just said, forget it, we're just gonna double Shea off of it, or we're just gonna heavy help on him.
Right. Right.
And they're young, they're a young team.
Mhm.
Uh, I think the average age is what, 23, 24.
It's the youngest in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mere fact that they got that far to the second round, I'm telling you, man, I don't know how Sam Presti does it for that OKC team, but he sees talent and he knows what he's doing, and Hardenstein gives them everything they need for that team.
Well, Dre, also they traded away Josh Giddey
Yeah.
for Alex Caruso. What impact do you think Caruso is going to have, real quick, with OKC?
Another defender, another long guy. People don't realize Caruso's 6'5".
I didn't listen, Dre. He was on NBA inside the NBA, and he was standing next to Kenny, and Kenny's like 6'3", 6'4", right? But he's like towering over Kenny. I was like, I didn't know Caruso was that tall, man.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Caruso is 6'5", strong, knows how to move his feet. He's crafty as well. So like they added all the things they needed to their team, man. I'm telling you that team is scary. I want to say it now. I think they make it to the Western Conference Finals next year.
wow.
I'm being honest. I just don't see all the things that you usually ask about for like a young team, especially specifically that team,
Mhm.
was they get killed on the boards. They filled that hole. They filled that need. When the Dortcher Chamber's out, who knows how to guard? Who else is going
Yeah.
to be guarding? And you know,
Well, that was an issue that OKC had too. That Lou Dort was only their best defender. He's a great defender, but there is no one else that you could put on OKC on, i.e., like a Kyrie Irving. If Lou
yeah,
Dort's already on Luca, that was an issue for OKC. But adding
yeah.
Caruso helps with adding another perimeter defender.
And then on top of that, man, they moved. I think the biggest piece that people don't realize is that Chet now moves his natural position of the four. And what's Hardenstein? What, 6'10", 6'11"?
I think he's closer towards 6'10".
Okay. So they got another guy that like can push Chet to his natural position, and now they're not as little anymore. Like their bench is solid. They've locked up all the guys that were leading in 3-point percentages. Like what is name? I can't remember his name, but they had a couple different free agent signings that were mid-level guys that got signed like for
Nice.
specifically for
Oh
that
yeah.
mid-level for like
Yeah.
what they needed.
Mhm.
Uh, that team is young, they're hungry, they're locked up, they've locked up all what they needed to. I'm telling you, man, that team's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
I think that I think they make it to the Western Conference Finals. Do they make it to the finals? I don't know, but I think
Mhm.
they make it to the Western Conference Finals this year, depending on how seeding is. They get that one seed again, and they get basically the same. They get realistically the same pecking order of like how it was like this year.
Mhm.
They make it.
And it's like you said, due in fact to their ability to re-sign their role players, which is vital for
Mhm.
them. And I'm gonna go off script a little bit here, Dre, but it's something that I was thinking about the other day. It's interesting how a team like the Denver Nuggets can't, for some reason, seem to keep guys in Denver. The year after they won their championship, they lost Bruce Brown. And this offseason, they just lost KCP to Orlando. I wonder what's going on, or if anything, maybe I'm just reading into it too much, perhaps. Why can't Denver seem to keep guys like that, man?
I think
They traded Reggie Jackson as well,
they
but that
traded
was
Reggie
for
Jackson.
financial
But,
purposes.
but I think that's specifically why one of those things where I think that they were looking to get Westbrook for is to make up for that Bruce Brown like losing him, but also they just needed a guy to kind of put guys in their in specific places and like
Hmm.
set. And then this year, the reason why they had one of the shortcomings is Jamal Murray got hurt, and then on top of that, they didn't add anything over the year that like or even in free agency, like they basically lost just like you said. But Bruce Brown he was going to get paid no matter what. Like they weren't going to get him back.
Yeah. And,
I think,
KCP got a pretty big deal this all season
yeah,
as well.
KCP got a deal. Like he got paid.
Yeah.
They have four max guys on their books.
Is Aaron Gordon a max deal? On a max deal?
Yeah, he got paid at that time. He was a max guy. He got
Okay.
paid his worth. And he's just someone who I don't think was like you can't in the stat sheet, you can't all the way make up what Eric Gore does for that
He
team.
and listen, Aaron Gordon's a great player, and he's a perfect example of he might not be max contract talent, but in terms of productivity for what that team needs, he's more than deserving of the max contract.
Yeah. So him and I put him. He's in the group of guys of like the Andre Iguodala's
Mm-hmm.
or even like the Evan Turners or like the who else is a great like the Draymond Greens, like they're in that realm of guys. Like
Yeah,
you need those guys on your team to produce and to like to push you forward.
I like the Iguodala comparison. So do you think so you don't think it's anything like in terms of management or perhaps just the city of Denver itself that's
Man.
causing guys to leave?
I don't think it is. I just think it's purely a financial thing. Like KCP, uh, great mid-level guy for them that would have been good for them to
Mm-hmm.
keep, but I think eventually they would have needed and he for some reason I think in that playoff he had like a little bit of a slump too.
Well, he was also hurt though, KCP.
Yeah, like they were just injured all around that team and they had a shortcoming this year, but let's be honest, like they Jamal Murray being hurt was one of the biggest things that could have happened to them.
Yeah,
And I think the way the seating was set up, it just kind of messed them all up and as well. So
yeah.
it just happens, man. And that's how it is.
I do believe that Denver will need to add a piece. They will need to add something to that roster if they want to be in contention this upcoming season. Because everyone gets better in the Western Conference at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we um, talked about the Clippers. We talked about OKC. Obviously, they clearly got better. Dallas got better, I believe so. We'll talk about that later on. Uh, Everyone gets better, and you know how it is in the NBA, Dre. You have to you can't be stagnant. You can't just be complacent. You have to continue to add something each and every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the thing is, I get the point of like running it back with the same team, but you also have to just like add a couple different role players here and there, like either add role players or give guys like bigger roles, like just little things like that. Like it just kind of mix it up on the team. And sometimes people don't realize it like when you're a team that's been winning and
Hmm.
you do nothing but constantly win, you get kind of bored of it. It's just human nature.
Yep.
It
There you
happens.
go. Hmm.
There's only a select few people in the NBA that's just like, ah, it's just like, all right, like I'm tired of this. Like I'm done with this.
Yeah.
And that was guys probably three-peated or repeated several times.
Yep. And what happens also, Dre, is and your Golden State Warriors were the recipient of this for the past 8, 9 years. After you win a championship, you're now going to get a team's best every single night. Your opponent, you're getting their best effort every single night, day in and day out for an 82 game season. And that is going to have wear and tear on you as a team.
Yeah. It's just, and I think that KCP losing him, I didn't think he'd leave, but I also knew financial reasons why. I was like, he's a great two guard,
Mm-hmm.
and for a young team that has that big of cap space, oh, he got paid.
Yeah, and I believe he does help out Orlando out a ton.
Yeah.
Um, Orlando gets better with that pick as well. But Dre, uh, I want to touch real quick back on the Clippers. And you said Harden returned for a 2 year, $70 million deal, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
he got paid, man.
What are your thoughts on that, man?
It tells me that the Clippers, you got to also remember the circumstances with PG leaving. They also still have to have seats get in. Like people have to come in and like fill the seats up. They just got a new stadium that opens up next year.
Right, right.
Like they have to have people come and fill it out and like do all those things. Like there's no way that financial wise that if that team does bad, that people are just gonna keep coming. Like people are gonna go and watch the Clippers.
Right.
They're not gonna watch it for Kawhi. He plays half the games sometimes. He's not his body's not reliable right now.
By the way, I did, you know how I feel about Kawhi. I do want to just like defend him real quick.
Yeah,
People forget that Kawhi has a debilitating knee injury, which means that it's never going to get better. It's going to deteriorate exponentially over time. And Dre, you know what it's like playing with knee injuries and back injuries. That you're asking a lot of Kawhi to play at least 70 games every single year with his the way he plays and with that knee injury. So you have to take that into account if you're the Clippers, right? You have to understand we physically cannot ask Kawhi to play over 75% of the games. We just can't.
Yeah. I think that the thing that will help the Clippers a lot, I think they have to get younger. It's just they got to get younger a little bit. They got to get some youth in there. And um I've seen a fact that I think PG talked about it. He said that over the season, the reason why they were like they kind of had an up and down, he's just like he was like the season wears down on you. Like you played
Yeah.
8 games out of the year, and with the playoffs, it's an extra like potentially what 20 games, 16, yeah, potentially 16 games.
Minimum
Yeah, minimum
16.
16 games if you sweep
Yeah.
straight through.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, like you're good. Like, he's like, so you're almost playing 100 games in a year. He's like, come on, man, like that's. It's like then you got to add on practices, then you got to add on shoot arounds, then you got to like just different stuff like that.
Yeah.
So and then he said the reason why great teams stay great is because they're role players. He said we lost all of our role players for on that team, and that's one of the reasons why we had our shortcomings. So I think with Harden staying and opening up and PG leaving, opening up a huge
Hmm.
huge cap space, I think it just helps them. Like it helps.
Now I didn't know Paul George had said that. He's got to give his role players a little bit more credit though. It's not like he's just surrounded
No, 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 not at all.
by has-beens. He's Norman Powell's on that team. Zubac is on that team. Terrence Mann is on that team. Westbrook, if you want to consider him a role player, is on that team. I who am I missing? I mean, there's some talent on that
Yeah,
team.
no, no, no. His role players are great, but I'm asking like, so um one of the things that I like to ask people is like, who gives you your out of all those teams, other than probably Westbrook, because remember Westbrook was out a portion of the year. Who
That's
gives that
right.
team
That's
their
right.
spark? Who gives their team that like that spark when they're in a low, like they're tired, they're kind of just like, all right, it's another game. Their role players that they traded away would have given them those sparks. So like the Batums, the
Yeah.
KJ Martins, the like different guys like that gives them their spark.
You would say Norman Powell fit into that role as a spark offensively. Offensively, I know he was a little bit of a liability defensively, but he can score in bunches.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but you still need that guy to come on, like camaraderie. Hey, come on, like we got this, and like give you the spark. And I think that that's one of the things that they were missing. And I think now they
Ah,
are a little more youthful. I think that
so
team is older.
so you think they lack leadership as well? 'Cause I do. I didn't. I think they lack leadership,
I don't, but Westbrook, I feels like they're a great leader, and then
but he was hurt.
he was hurt.
Mhm. But remember, Dre, man, this might is probably 3 years ago, and we were talking about how we thought them adding Rajon Rondo was a good fit because of that leadership piece that we all thought that they lacked. But I agree with you, Dre. They didn't really have a legitimate piece coming off that bench with consistency. But I don't believe that was the main issue for their struggles. I think it was injuries, like we just talked about.
But injuries are part of the game. Everybody has them. It's gonna happen.
Mhm.
We seen it was evident in the finals this year too. It was injuries happen. It's part of the game.
It is. And Dre, you know more than anyone that a lot of injuries can be avoided based on your off-season workout regimen. So I'm not sure how Paul George trains or what he does during his off-season, but hopefully he adjusts and might do certain type of routines to help maintain his health
Yeah.
over the course of the season. But Dre, real quick, do you feel like James Harden was worth the contract that he just got? From a purely not talking about marketing or getting getting tickets, getting fans in the seats, purely from a basketball perspective and his level of play. Do you think he was deserving of that contract?
What 2010, 29?
Yep. Actually, he was third in the league in assists, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Top five at least in assists.
statistics wise, he's always going to be worth it. But just like his style of play, it just when it gets to like a point against certain teams, he's just it's not going to work.
Mhm.
And it's been like that's a recurring thing that's been said over and over and over again. Like, yo, you gotta like learn how to change your game a little bit. Like you gotta learn how to get off the ball a little bit more. Like, and he's being asked to be more of a point guard, and I'm just like, no, like you want Harden to be Harden wherever he goes. So that's just like that's how he makes the most of his talent. But man, I think it's hard to play with someone dribbling the ball for 40 or for 23 seconds and then throwing you the grenade to shoot it.
I like that. I like that analogy, man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to play with somebody like that.
So perhaps the Clippers get better addition by subtraction by like letting go of Paul George. It allows more spacing and more options for
Yeah.
James Harden to perhaps be a scorer and also Kawhi as well to get more touches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also, Derrick Jones Jr. did sign with the Clippers as well.
I'm gonna be
Derrick,
honest, I don't think
uh,
that's the best pickup. I just
okay.
don't. Um, partially because I understand that he defensively did very, very well last year, but that was team defense. And then on top of that, he is a liability. Um, like he had struggles with shooting the ball,
Mm.
and they need as much spacing as possible, especially with Harden.
Yeah, which could be why his playing time diminished over the course of the finals. Uh, for Dallas and Boston. But speaking of Dallas, let's actually transition to Dallas, Dre. But real quick though, before we do, Dre, do you think the Clippers get better? Have the Clippers gotten better?
No,
It's all gotten worse. Okay, got
I
it.
think that's worse.
Okay, so Dre, transition in Dallas. They just signed your boy, the legend himself out the Bay, Klay Thompson. I know you are emotionally reeling right now, Dre. So I'm gonna be delicate with this topic. But
No, go in as much as you want. It's okay. It happens. I
Dre,
watch
talk
Twitter all day and it's been going crazy. Well, I watched Twitter the whole time and it was crazy talking about it.
Dre, I want to get your perspective though. What are your thoughts on this? Klay Thompson
Um,
signing with
it's something
Dallas for a 3 year
60,
60 million. Okay.
yeah, I think 60, 65, one of the two. I think it's amazing for him. I think it's one of those things where it eventually ran its course. Did I ever think that I would see the Splash Brothers break up? No, not never in my lifetime did I think. Like I thought they would retire together. That trio of guys, I thought would retire together and go out the same way. Um, do I blame the organization for kind of ruining their relationship? Yes, I blame them a little bit for that.
Now that's interesting, Dre. I did not expect you to say that. You said that the organization ruined that relationship.
Um, so they offered him that what was it? I think it was 4 years for well, the extra 2 years for like 40 million or something like that. Added on to his contract after this year, but he was looking for a 3 year deal, maybe even a 4 year deal. And after like by how his playing wise is out throughout the season, I think he was already like mentally, it was just one of those things where it was just sitting and it was constantly being talked about on the media, and it was constantly being like one of those things where like I said, I think that the organization itself kind of ruined that relationship.
Hmm.
Especially with Bob Myers leaving and like not new management, but a new GM coming in that I don't feel that I felt like wasn't as familiar with Klay Thompson. And that
Mm.
so um what do I think happens next? I don't know, but I'm happy as hell Klay got his deal. I thought he would go um to Orlando to get a piece of that huge cap space, but obviously I didn't realize that Dallas had that big of a cap space for him. But
Yeah.
I seen it was a sign and trade later on. I seen that it worked out for everyone.
Yeah. What, and I want to go back to Golden State, but real quick, what from a basketball perspective was a better fit for Clay? Going to Orlando or going to Dallas? And which place gives him a better chance to win?
Probably going to Dallas for the right now. but that Orlando team is extremely talented and it will be extremely good in the next couple years.
Mhm.
Um,
But
now, now with their management, what they do with it, I don't know.
mm.
We'll because they've squandered away a lot of talented teams before.
Well, they just re-signed Wagner to an extension.
Yeah, granted, Wagner is very much worth it, but because that team got what, fifth last year,
Fifth and took Cleveland 7 games in the first round.
and they're an extremely young team as well.
Hmm.
Their best player is a second year guy. So yeah, yeah. So
By the way, I heard reports that Apollo is not his age. He's actually older than what he really is. I don't know if that's
I'm
true or
taking that.
not, though.
I'm not gonna take that. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Okay. Okay.
But we'll see, man. I think that play would have been better there. Plus, I don't think he wanted to be I don't think he wanted to be in Orlando. And I heard that a little bit of it was financial reasons. Like Texas probably has some of the best state taxes or in federal taxes that state taxes that you could be looking for. So I don't think he loses as much of his money. And I've seen that a lot of, I want to say another team in LA, specifically in purple and gold, was offering him to get him to come, but he was just like, taxes there were kind of crazy, and he wasn't looking. I don't think he wanted to play in LA. There's a lot going on there.
You know, it's interesting. His dad was a proponent of him going with the Lakers, though. But you know, Michael Thompson was had a very successful career with the Lakers. So,
Number one pick, I think, too, wasn't he?
yep, sure was, Dre. Sure was.
Number one pick, and then I think he still does play by play for them, and some of the he still works with them in some way.
Yep.
I know.
Yep, he does. He does. And not to, listen, not, you know, I get on LeBron a lot, but not to discredit LeBron or the Lakers organization from a personal perspective, but there's just a lot of uncertainty within the Lakers organization. So I understand from that perspective as well why Clay wouldn't want to go to that organization. And plus, they just if you're comparing Dallas and the Lakers, that Dallas has a much higher ceiling at this point as of today than the Lakers do. So I understand if between the Lakers and Dallas, why Clay would have rather wanted to go to Dallas. But something you talked about, Dre, uh, when we first saw this news was the play style. Is Clay going to adjust to the play style in
Like,
Dallas?
you go from getting as many shots as you want with the Warriors and your second and shot attempts, and like no one cares about the type of shots you take to now like gotta count your shots now. Like
Mm-hmm.
you gotta, reel it in a little bit because you do have two super dynamic guys um that are gonna always have the ball. But also, man, like I think that maybe less shots, maybe make him focus more with shooting and everything. But and he's a shooter. He's gonna hit regardless. And one of the things that I think that they struggle with, especially last year making it to the finals, is hitting shots. So you get another shot maker and one of the best 3-point shooters in the history. I think you're fine. I think you do
Second,
well.
second greatest shooter in NBA history,
You think so?
behind Steph.
Yeah.
I do, I do. Yeah, at this point, I would take him over Reggie Miller. I would take him over Ray Allen. That'll be my list, though. It'll be Steph, Clay, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller. Yeah, but Dre, also interesting stat. People are talking about that Clay is washed and he's way past his prime. Hey, let's not forget, last season Clay was second in the NBA in 3-point shots made off the catch. And what is the NBA today? Driving kicks. It
Catch and shoot, baby. That's all you catch and shoot. That's all. Catch and shoot.
exactly. And like you just said, Trey, if that doesn't fit perfectly into what Dallas needs at this point, I don't know what does.
Yeah. Catch and shoot and a defender will tries hard. I think he's lost kind of a step here and there, but still a decent defender. You can't ask for anything more. A good two-way player.
Yeah. Now for Dallas, I will say this though. As a team, they got to play quicker. They have to play quicker. They play too slow. And I know
It's
that it fits into what Luca does well, but Luca's got to be able to make an adjustment, man. He's got to be able to make an adjustment as a player. Because you talked about this before, Dre. You said that he's got to make adjustments. Now you think that he's going to be able to win with this style of play. Yes or no?
I don't. I think he's gonna have to have a very specific opponent in the in the finals to beat them that type of way.
Hmm.
And Boston is not one of them because it's five players that know how to play basketball. And Drew Holiday put them over the top this year. And I don't think that team's gonna, I think that team is built to last very well, actually. And I don't think that Dallas team is gonna, that Dallas team had no chance really.
Okay, so do you see Dallas as the best team in the Western Conference going into next season?
Oh no. Oh no. I told you who my team, who I think. I think um two teams got better in the draft, and another team got, and two teams got these two teams got better in free agency. I think OKC got better, and then I think Minnesota
Minnesota.
got better in
Yep.
the draft.
Yep. So right now you think those are the two best teams going into next season in the Western
Yeah,
Conference?
yeah, because but it's purely on matchup, but those are our two best teams I think in the Western Conference. If Minnesota meets up with the Nuggets again,
Hmm.
you think that the Nuggets have what it take to beat them.
I don't.
But if OKC meets up with the Nuggets, do you think that OKC has what it takes to beat them?
I do.
I'm just
I
saying.
do. I do.
I
But also I like I just said, I think Denver needs to add another piece though. Denver needs to add another playmaker within their all, maybe perhaps someone like a Mike Conley. But Mike Conley's gonna stay in Minnesota, obviously. But if they could get someone like a Mike Conley, or even like you said, someone like a Russell Westbrook, I think that puts Denver over the edge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think just with Boston adding Boston's just is they're good. I think they're gonna run it back with their whole team is gonna be the same way. They pay Tatum, they pay Brown, they're two main guys, and then
Mhm.
that whole core like five is there. And I think Al Horford also is there for multiple years, and I think he'll retire there.
I want to.
Is
I want to say something real quick about Boston, real quick. I just want to say that I called this 2 years ago that Boston isn't going to be successful until they move Jaylen Brown to the primary option and move Tatum to the
he's
secondary option.
not the primary option.
Dre, I'm just saying. I'm just
He
saying.
wasn't the primary op. The one guy he averaged more than everything. He led in almost every stat on their team.
I get it. You guys defend your boy, man. I get it. You guys.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying Jaylen Brown moved to that primary option makes Boston better.
I
They
think
didn't
you're
have to
I think you're overrating the turnover machine. I need you to calm down.
the turnover machine, the left-handed magician. But Dre, real quick, man, I wanted to say something about Luca as well. He's at a point in his career where LeBron James was at um towards when he was first in Miami. LeBron realized that he had to make adjustments and that he had to shift the way he plays in order to win championships. This upcoming season is going to tell a lot for me about Luka Doncic in terms of his championship pedigree. Is he willing to change his style of play in order to win championships, or is he comfortable where he's at right now?
I think he'll slim down a little bit, and then on top of that, I think he'll pick up his foot speed. Everything that offensively wise, like that people have been asking for him, he's done already. One of them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just that one that he hasn't, which is like you got to play a little faster. But like shooting the ball better, free throws, like every single one of those things, like he's gotten better. His ball handling's always been there. He's always
Mm-hmm.
been a great finisher. But now I just feel like, especially this year with him getting hurt, he doesn't have the same lift.
Mm-hmm.
Off.
And I'm glad that because Slovenia just got eliminated
Yeah,
from the Olympic qualifiers. I think he does need some time off to rest and really focus on his body and not playing.
yeah.
And I'm not saying that by the way, because I hate these non-basketball analysis, non-basketball playing analysts and reporters that say, oh, Luka has to get in shape and he's got to. Dre, he is clearly in basketball shape. He is
Yeah.
clearly in basketball shape. And so it just bugs me when people that don't play basketball try to tell me that this man is not in shape to play basketball.
He's been playing basketball for the full year. He's in shape. It's
Definitely.
like it's the point of where we're talking about of slimming down. Like he's in a basketball shape, but it's like he's in his comfortable basketball shape, but like going from like maybe he's at like 230. Instead of
Mhm.
being 230, we'll say like AB like 225, 220.
Yeah,
It gives you more of a lift. It's like less impact on your body, on your knees when you hit the
yeah,
ground, when you jump, when you fall down, like different things like that.
exactly. And I think that will make him a better defender. One, so if he can, like you said, lose or increase his foot speed, I think that will make him a better defender
Yeah.
going into next season. But Dre, I know that you're still in recovery from your boy Clay leaving. But don't worry, you still got San Francisco over there. You still got your Chiefs.
I'm not a Chiefs fan. We are not going to get back. They've stolen two championships from me now.
So I think you'll be okay, man. I think you'll be okay. But Dre, are we have we was there any other signings or trades that you wanted to talk about before we sign off?
This just happened recently. We didn't go fully into it, but DeMar got traded to the Kings.
Yeah,
Now, I think that's huge for them. That gives them their third scorer. And that gives them a more of a more consistent score, especially with like how Harrison Barnes was he can be inconsistent at times. Like he scored 25, 30, and sometimes he'll score 12. And you'd be like, bro, what is going on? Um,
I hear your Golden State fandom coming out with that, but it's okay.
no, no. He owes us a championship and a contract, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're not
Okay.
talking about that right now.
So Dre, does Sacramento get better with the addition of DeMar
Oh,
DeRozan?
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That gives them a and it the fact that they're 3-point heavy, this gives them their and it's kind of crazy to say, this gives them their low post guy to score,
Mhm.
just a bonus.
Okay.
But this gives them another guy who can go out there and get 20, 25.
Are you worried about his lack of 3-point shooting, which was already a cause for concern with Sacramento?
No cause for concern. All they do is shoot three.
Efficiently, though.
I mean, they get him up. I don't think that matters. They got Malik Monk in there as well. They secured him for a max deal for a guy coming off the bench.
He got a great contract. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they got Sabonis locked in, and then they're gonna be locked in with De'Aaron Fox as well. I just and then I think Chris, oh God, their young guy that on their team that's really I think is gonna be really good.
The swing man.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I forgot his name. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm bad with names, I promise. But he also I think makes a jump in his productivity. I think they're set. I think they can make a good run too.
Now they also lost Davion Mitchell as well, the point guard coming off
Okay
the
with that.
bench.
Davion Mitchell at a point in time wasn't playing. He kind of lost some of his minutes.
Point.
So I think they're okay with all those things happening. I think what they do need to do now though is make sure that De'Aaron Fox can stay healthy
Mm,
and Malik Monk can stay healthy as well. But I think they're banking on when that happens, they now have that third guy who can be a first guy and go get them buckets.
mm. So you think that this makes Sacramento a top 5 team?
I think it
It's
does.
top 6 team.
Top six, yeah, I think it makes them top six.
Okay. Better than New Orleans, who just traded for DeJounte Murray.
Yes, because New Orleans still has they still have to make a decision between Zion and Ingram to be their guy. And it's messed up that it's come to that, but um Ingram sometimes he has times where he doesn't it's been said he doesn't show up, but I don't think that's true. I just think that defenses load up on them and they get hurt. And then
Mhm.
Zion has times where he just can't stay healthy purely because of his body.
Yeah. It, and when you say choose, you mean just making one of them the primary
One of them, the
option.
primary focal option. Yes.
Yes, yes. Not in terms of
Yeah.
trading. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they should trade them because I don't think New Orleans is a free agent destination, but there's no amount there's nothing in the world like I don't think there's any player in the NBA that you can trade and get the equal value of Zion.
Agreed. And I don't think you'll get a lot for Zion at this point on the market as well. You wouldn't get his value
Shoot, I don't know.
because of his health and the
Yeah.
inability to stay healthy. I don't think teams will be willing to give up that much for him.
Mm.
But that's interesting, Jay. Yeah, we're gonna have to discuss that on our live show because I'm not sure if Sacramento is better than New Orleans right now with the
I
addition
think
of DeMar DeRozan.
I think they are. And I was very high on New Orleans this year. Well, not high, super high, but I thought they were in a great spot. Um,
Hmm.
they got just about everything that you want with wing defenders, 3-point shooters, a guy who's a creator with CJ McCollum, and a guy who's a creator with Brandon Ingram. And then I think it just was their foundation with Zion is just not like Zion being their foundation is just like what they like their thing.
I
Um,
see.
like I think because remember when Zion was I don't know if it was this year or 2 years ago when he was playing, they were like first or second in the West, and then he got hurt and they dropped to like fifth.
2 years ago. That was
That
two
was
years
2 years
ago.
ago,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
They dropped to like fifth, and then they were nearly out of the playoffs.
Yep. And because that was the year they took Phoenix 6 games in the playoffs.
And
Correct.
yeah, but that's my point. Like I think they're legit, man.
Yeah. I agree.
But
Well,
I think they still have a lot to kind of figure out.
I think overall in a vacuum, I agree with you. I don't think Sacramento or New Orleans are on the same level or in the same tier as OKC and Dallas, Minnesota. You think they're closer to Dallas than anything else. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I believe we'll need to see more from both of those teams moving forward. I think Dallas is in that room with Minnesota and OKC and
And
Denver.
guys, we're not knocking on Dallas saying they're bad. I promise you. It's just if matchups were different, I'm I'm not sure if Dallas makes it out of that second round.
Mm. Presently constructed the rosters. We'll see. It's still early, but I think for me, I would need to see. I would need to see. Right now, I have Dallas up there because I'm sold on Kyrie and his
Yeah.
ability to. But that's a yeah. You know how Kyrie is a top 30 player of all time, but
He's top 75 for me. I don't know who he was on that list, wasn't he? Top 75 players.
he was on that list before the pandemic and COVID vaccine was. Never mind. We should just leave that right there. Dre, great show today. Any shout outs you want to get before we sign off?
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to my guy Vincel, Lord in the Stitch. He actually has a new clothing line out. It's with the Show Me State stuff. Like it's called like the Show Me something. I gotta grab it. I'll put a picture out. But shout out to him. He has merch out. It's great. Shout out to our fans here that have been watching us and supporting us. We really really appreciate it. And my shout out to my guy Jimmy Witt. He's going to be playing in the summer league for the Vegas showcase.
Yes.
So make sure you guys watch out for him. He's looking to make a splash this year, so we can't wait to see it.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Dre. I didn't cut you off.
Oh, let's say no, no, you're fine. Shout
Oh,
out to you.
okay.
Big shout out to you. Always a big shout out to you. You know that.
Dre, I love you, man. Wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. But also Dre, like you said, shout out to Jimmy. Sorry, Jimmy Witt Jr. We call him Jimmy, but yeah, we had the pleasure of doing some philanthropy work with him and his organization, and that was just such a blessing, man. So shout out to Jimmy and the Witt Foundation. They're doing amazing work in the community, man. And shout out to the fans because none of this is possible without you guys. Uh, shout out to the Most High because none of this is nearly possible without him. Uh, oh, Dre, sorry, was there what we got?
No,
We
no,
got.
I was gonna say very true.
Yes. Sorry. And am I missing anything? Am I missing anybody? No, I think that's it. That's it. All right, so Dre, man, great show today. Guys, we'll be back again probably sometime in the next 2 weeks with another podcast episode. But we'll be back on Thursday with another Instagram live show. So until then, guys, get oh sorry, Dre, I'm tripping. I'm totally messing this up. Dre, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to us on Patreon as well if you haven't already. Um, and be sure to check out our newest clothing launch on our website as well. Now we can sign off. Trey, my bad. It's been a long day, man. All right, guys. Until next time, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.